excited to have you. So I know we have limited time here to talk, so I just want to get right into it. So just making a...
Well, first of all, I should apologise, actually, if any of you are involved in a relationship with a hypnotherapist. Okay.
What was the path to make heist thriller? And was there some favorite heist films that inspired you? Or?
Yeah, there was. I mean, we had a sequence at the beginning of it, actually, that was so we shot this. We did the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, and it was driving us insane doing it. Kind of the responsibility of it and the positiveness of it and all that kind of stuff that had to be constantly. There was no swearing, you know. It was like, and so it just drove you mad after a bit. So we shot this film, and we took a little hiatus from it and shot this film. And but we edited it afterwards, after the Olympics was over. And when we first edited it, we had a heist kind of montage at the beginning with loads of heist movies in it. And that's better, I can hear it now. And it was fantastic. I mean, it was really good. It was like everything, you know, all the stuff you'd imagine. And it finished up with James Bond, Sean Connery, walking into Dr. No's lair, and with the Duke of Wellington painting, the Goya painting, I don't know, I remember the bit. And my memory of that was that he said, so that's where it went, as he walked past it on the stairs. In fact, he doesn't say anything, he just looks at it. Just weird the way you... And anyway, we got McAvoy, who's obviously Scottish, and every Scottish person can do a Connery impersonation. Every Scottish actor can. And we dubbed him over as Connery, going, well, that's where he went. Then the producer went off to kind of price the cost of this heist montage. And it was like a third of the cost of the film, of the whole movie, so we had to cut it. So it doesn't exist, unless some person puts it online illegally at some point. Maybe they will. That would be a good thing. Anyway.
Yeah, let's take some questions. Anybody? Sir?
Did you do hypnosis personally in order to, I don't know, just be more knowledgeable before?
No. I'm a bit of a control freak, I'm afraid, and I don't think I'd be very good in the chair. I was also a bit worried that, because we did it, like James McAvoy and Vincent Cassel did it in front of the, you know, during the rehearsal. We had a professor of psychology came in to tell us all about the history, and he was a hypnotist, you know, he could properly do it, and they did it, and it was kind of sleepy and dreamy and benign. We didn't really find out anything, like you're hoping, and I thought, I better not do this, because the stuff I might come out with, if I'm one of these 5 to 10% who are extremely suggestible, I could be saying anything about who we were going to cast, who turned us down, you know, what each one of them's being paid, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I decided it was on. Rosario did a load of it, actually. She went off and did all sorts of private sessions with them, but she wouldn't do it in front of us. So she obviously came back with her story intact about what had happened, you know, which is another control freak symptom.
Sir?
Who were you going to cast?
Where are the bodies buried?
No, there was one story, because initially we talked to Michael Fassbender about Vincent Cassel's part, because Vincent came up right at the last minute. I'm a big Vincent Cassel fan, serious Vincent Cassel fan. I'm sure you guys have all seen Meereen or Mesreen. If you haven't, you should. It's just incredible. Anyway, and so many of his movies are. So we were talking to Fassbender at that point about Vincent Cassel's part, and he read it and he said, no. He said, I'll do the girl. And I said, oh, what, in a dress or? But we never really got to discussing details about that. So that's what I was worried about, that my Michael Fassbender confession might come out. Sir?
Just noticing the movie deals with, I mean, I'm reading a lot of, like, choosing to remember versus choosing to forget your past pains. Where do you personally lie in that argument?
Yeah, no, well, I obviously, like, Samsung released a phone about a month ago that kind of watches your eyeballs, didn't you? And when you look away, it turns off to save power. So it's clearly going to be possible soon-ish to get an app that's going to be able to do other stuff for you that you might. No, I'm all for remembering, actually. It doesn't get to be a problem as you get older, because you begin to forget anyway. It kicks in naturally, believe me. So. Yes?
What inspired you to make the movie? Were you inspired by things like Inception and other films like that?
Oh, I'm a big fan of, like, his earlier film, Memento, and also Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which would be two of my favourite films. This was way before that originally, and the guy who originally wrote it was a guy called Joe Ahern, and we did this film a long time ago called Shallow Grave, and he sent this script to me called Trance after Shallow Grave, and I said I'll do it. And he said, oh, no, I don't want you to direct it. I want to direct it. I said, oh, well, I'm not very good. I'm not a producer, really. And I said, I think it's probably not the right thing for you to start off with. He'd never done anything, you know. And it's a tough film to follow. There's some tough ingredients in it. Anyway, he went off and he made a version of it. And the kind of people he was involved with, understandably, gave him no money, and they massacred the film. And it's kind of it'd be very unfair to compare it to this. We had a lot more money and all that kind of stuff. And also we changed it a lot. But after we'd done Slumdog, I couldn't forget about this film, particularly because there was a woman at the centre of it. And it's very difficult to make a film, I'd never done it, with a woman at the centre of it, absolutely in the engine room. Surprising how difficult it is. I mean, I know they come along, like Zero Dark 30 and things like that, but where a woman is absolutely in the driving seat of the film, it's very, very difficult, and I really wanted to do that, so that was the real reason I did it. So after we'd done Slumdog, we got the rights off the guy and started working on it with the guy who wrote The Doctor. He's a doctor he was a doctor who wrote Shallow Grave, Trainspotting and the early films, a guy called John Hodge. So, and he started working on it, and it's very, very different to Joe's original as well, though the core conceit is the same about the hypnotherapist and about her being in the driving seat, in the engine room in the movie. So that was the reason I really wanted to do it. Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Did you consider when James McAvoy's fingernails were being pulled out that I might be starting my dinner?
Is that how it timed out? Okay. Sorry about that. You've got a strong stomach. Look at you, I can see that. You're fine. We had all those problems on 127 hours. I remember going, it was such a thrill. It's sort of screening around, and Franco was getting all this Oscar buzz. And they screened it this is sort of before it had been released, and they screened it at Pixar. I was like, so you got an invitation to go to Pixar, and I was like, whoa, because I'm an amazing fan of their work. And so we turned up at Pixar. The fucking ambulance was there, and they were carrying out like 3 people who fainted when he cut off his arm. That was terrible. But there was another screening that we did where somebody else fainted. It was like, I think what happens is it's just like, what do they call it when it's suggestive? I mean, people just start, right, I'll faint. And they carried this woman out, and I was there at the back, because we were doing like here a Q&A after it, and it's quite near the end, and she was carried out, and she was they sort of laid her out on the steps, and I went over to her, and it was like, you know, and the attendants were there, and they were going to call an ambulance and everything. And she woke up, and she saw me. She looked straight at me. She said, "Oh, good film." I swear to God, that's not a lie. She said, "Good film." She also got back up again and went back in.
You told me just about the soundtrack for this. If you could talk a little bit about the press for the soundtrack for this one.
Oh yes, no. So the guy who did the soundtrack on this is a guy from a band, Underworld, and we first worked with them on Trainspotting. They did the song right at the end, Born Slippy, which was an amazing kind of success and stuff like that with the film, and it took off. Their careers took off in a different way as well. And they're like one of the they'd be, like, I know electronic dance music is beginning to take off, has taken off in the last couple of years in America. So they'd now be regarded really as godfathers of that, because they were one of the real pioneers of it, rave music really. And but we worked with him on a number of films, including Sunshine, and he wrote a song for The Beach, and he wrote a song for Life Less Ordinary, and then we started working with him properly on the Sunshine. But we also did, in the first year of preparing the Olympics, we did a play at the National Theatre in London, because again, it was getting us down all this positive, family-friendly national celebration stuff. So we did this play, Frankenstein, at the National Theatre, which was also dark and twisted and all that kind of stuff, which was lovely. And he did the sound for that with the guys in Underworld with Carl Hyde. And then we did, and then he did the music. They did the music for the opening ceremony. And then, of course, so we basically all keep working together. So we made Frankenstein, opening ceremony, and this, sort of all the same bunch of people, really. That was the kind of idea of it. And I don't know why I'm looking at you. You didn't. That's why. Keep looking at me. And anyway, so and he's a wonderful guy to work with. Yeah, really good. And I love the soundtracks. You know, it's a huge thing. Yes.
Is there any plans to bring Frankenstein to Broadway?
There was actually. I mean, they're still talking about it. I don't know whether it actually will. There's so much money involved. It's incredible. And also, I'd want to do it with those two actors first, Johnny Lee Miller and Benedict Cumberbatch. But they're like stellar. You know, they've gone. They're suddenly taken off, and you'll never get them for. They have to be for 6 months, and they'll never do it for 6 months, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure whether it will happen, but they're still talking about it. Yeah. Did you see it?
No, I was over here.
Yes. No, it's good evening.
I was thinking of that, the heist scene at the beginning. It makes you wonder, in a movie like this, or in general, if you know, will, like, the auction house cooperate with you and say, oh, yeah, if you want to heist the place, this is how you do it? I mean, how much input do you get on what their security protocols are?
No, listen, they were... So it's called TRANCE, which is a fictional name, for legal reasons only. It's Sotheby's.
Yeah.
And Sotheby's is... the main guy who auctions the painting, the older guy, he's the chief auctioneer at Sotheby's. And they kind of showed us everything, and they took us round, and they gave us a few tips. Don't try and nick jewellery, like Fabergé eggs, because they always keep them on the 4th floor, because you can grab them and run, or you think you can. But that's why they put them up on the 4th floor, so that by the time you get down the bottom, some Ukrainian ex-naval commandos are waiting. But no, so obviously they showed us how to, you know, kind of how to steal a painting like that. And I guess if you try it, they may have covered all the bases by now, you know, updated their security programs. But yeah, no, they were a great help to us actually. And it was fascinating because all the stuff about stolen paintings. I mean, most of them get stolen obviously from museums, and people just walk into museums and steal paintings. I mean, it's extraordinary. I think there's one in Boston, the Isabel Stewart Museum, is it in Boston? Which is famously had lots of paintings nicked from it. And what happens supposedly, and this is what, so the paintings don't hang in the lair of some evil tycoon like Dr. No. Actually, they're used as collateral amongst criminal gangs. And it used to be in the Far East, and it's now supposedly in Serbia mostly. 2 were found very recently, a Manet and something else in Serbia. And they're used as collateral. They're moved around because they're much more difficult to spot than gold, money, drugs, you know, the different stuff that moves around. So that's how they're used supposedly. And what happens is that eventually the insurance company pays out. So like a $20 million painting, they'll pay out $2 million on it to get it back, right? And then of course the painting's notoriety increases its price by, they reckon, at least 15 to 20%. So it just shoots up in price. So sort of and I guess the insurance premiums goes up, but nobody really loses out. It becomes it becomes almost like acceptable. And the insurance people have detectives who know the gangs, you know, and kind of move amongst them, supposedly. It's a very kind of weird, shady world. Yeah. Yes?
What have you got coming up next? And also, are you living in New York now?
I haven't got my food coming up, if we'd like to know. I'm living here for a bit actually. I've got to go back to London tomorrow, but I'm writing something at the moment. So I'm not really a writer, and I love writers, and I really appreciate what they do. I did write some of 127 hours, because we couldn't crack it. Nobody wanted to do it really. Nobody could see how it was going to work. A guy alone for 6 days, and then he cuts his arm off, and that was it. How is that going to work? So I wrote the kind of first few drafts of that, and we're working on a novel at the moment, which we're having similar problems with attracting decent writers to, because they all go, I can't see how that'll work, and I had an idea of how it might work. So I'm working on that at the moment, really. So I'm working here at the moment, actually. So this is an evening off from the page count. Those of you who are writers will know that feeling of page 45. You think, great. So we're doing that, and then but we're also working on a period movie as well, with John Hodge, actually, the guy who wrote this and wrote Trainspotting and things like that. So we're working on that at the moment, which is not deliberately, you know, to have a change. It's just weird the way they kind of creep up on you. So we're working on that, and then we're working on a sequel to Trainspotting, long term, a kind of 20-year-old sequel. It's 20 years old in 2016, believe it or not. And it's about, and it's trying to get the guys, the same guys, and to play the same characters 20 years later, and kind of, that's like a good movie. You think, yeah, that'll be interesting, you know?
How many of them still alive, though?
Yeah, no, only one of them died. Tommy died.
Well, I mean, in this time.
Oh, the actors? Yeah, no, they're all alive. They'd be shocked to hear you even question whether they're all alive. Well, the characters are. No, I think they'll all be alive. It won't be. Well, Irving Welsh, who wrote the original book, he wrote a sequel called Porno, and we won't call it that, and it won't really. The original script wasn't really based on the original book. It was kind of just inspired by it, kind of. But Irving obviously be involved, and but it'll be just it's the idea of 20 years later for everyone, not just them on the screen, but for us out there, and other people have caught up with it subsequently, and you know, and it's weird when you have a film that clearly people have an affection for, that's like bizarre, because people remember their names, characters' names. I mean, I can't remember the names of characters, and I've made the films. I remember the actors who played them, but I can't remember their character names. But everybody remembers Spud and Sick Boy and Rent and Begbie especially. So we'll have a go at that. Yeah. Yes.
Speaking of sequels, and 20 years later, how about 28 years later? Is that ever going to happen?
Yeah, it's a bit longer, isn't it? That? Yeah, that'll take a bit longer. But it's a good idea, actually. No, there is an idea for it. I'm not sure, actually. I mean, we had an idea for it, but clearly we were a bit naive, because what we should have done is sued Walking Dead and got some got some money out of them, because it's now like the biggest show in America, isn't it, or something? It's incredible the way zombies have kind of returned, really, and we obviously played a part in that, even though we didn't think they were zombies, but ours weren't zombies, they were the infected, but you know, these are details. People who are not involved in this kind of thing find baffling, but for those of us who are, it's really important. Back row.
Yes, awesome movie.
Thank you.
With a storyline that's very, very complex, and we want your audience to kind of start putting pieces together. How do you map it out in your head while you're watching it and try to make sense from somebody who hasn't seen the movie? Like, how do you deal with that?
We had a chronology, you know, a kind of in correct time order up on the wall all the time. So especially for something like James and for Rosario, because it was, you know, what were they meant to be thinking at that moment? What did they know? What did they not know at that kind of moment, really? And we had to carry that through, obviously, into the editing. And we're actually putting on the DVD, there'll be a kind of, I think we did it on Memento, actually, as well. There's an Easter egg, or whatever they call it, where you have to go and find it, and it's actually the film in chronological order. And it's interesting if you see it in chronological order, because it's basically all our films are the same film. They're all somebody faces insurmountable odds and overcomes them. Look, we've done 9, I think, 8, 9, and they're all that, which is one of the 7 ways of telling, you know, one of the classic stories. There's Quest, and we've done 9 versions of Quest, which is like enough. Anyway, but if you see it in chronological order, it's her that faces insurmountable odds and overcomes them. Because actually she starts and she has a relationship and the guy turns violent, so she uses her skill to cause him down, and he returns as she knows he will, and this time with 4 other violent men, and she knows she faces 5 violent men, but she doesn't run away. So it's her that it's kind of, so that's, and the chronology of it reveals that very, very clearly. So it helped just, you've got to do it with films like this, otherwise you get lost, yeah. One more. Sir.
You have this really lovely, strong relationship with the music in the movies. Somebody brought up 28 Days, and I think the scene in London with Cillian Murphy is phenomenal with the Godspeed You Black Emperor music. Can you talk a little bit about why that's so important to you and so prevalent for your movies, and even in the film we saw tonight?
Oh, God, well, I could go on for a long time until you need your next meal, if you want me to. I mean, I was very lucky. When punk arrived in Britain, I was 20, and you know, so it's like, I mean, it's just like one of the key moments of my life, really. You know, along with my kids, it's like, And I was lucky enough, because actually when electronic dance music or the rave scene started, when ecstasy started, I was just about young enough to get away with still enjoying that, going. I was like 35. I was just had these two amazing kind of tent poles in my life that I spent the rest of my life wandering around under, you know, in their shadow. And so it's always been something that's really, really important to us. It was interesting actually, and I'm really proud of the music in the film. And with the early films we made, Shallow Grave and Trainspot, and back home, we were accused very much of just being like, well, these were like pop videos, and they were like MTV, and I thought of that as a compliment actually, whereas they meant it as a criticism. And I was like, and it's the best way actually to take criticism, is as a compliment, is the best way of dealing with it. And I was really proud of it, because I think music, we all have this relationship with tunes, with songs. It's just extraordinary. And we carry them around, and you put them in a movie against some other material that contradicts what your relationship is with the material, or complements it. It's like, it's an amazing thing, music, you know. It's impossible to talk about. But the guy who wrote this, wrote the music for this, he did, as I said, the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, and he wrote a little paragraph about it in the programme. And he said it's the liquid architecture of our lives. So there you go. And that's what it is for me.
We're going to wrap it up, but I want to thank you very much for coming. It was great. Thanks for participating.